Wow, we don't usually forget. Like we're not usually bored
Not really.
when we do these. I wouldn't say I'm bored right now, but I don't know what to say.
I don't either. I think we're just at a boring part of the game where all we do is just sit around here and just kill the ghosts.
I'll ask you a hypothetical then.
It's been a while since we've done that.
Yes. If you had
Shine that light at that ghost so we can get that green stuff.
if your dad died and scientists said that they could make a clone of your dad and he would be the same age as he was when he died, but he would live twice as long.
Wait, hold on, go back. Repeat it.
Okay, your dad died.
Okay.
The doctor said that they could make a clone of him, and the clone would be the same age as your dad when he died. Let's say he died at like age 65. The clone would be 65, and he would look like him, but he would live like another 60 years.
Another 60 years?
Yeah, would you do it?
Bring them back to life?
Yeah. You're not bringing him back to life, it's a clone.
I mean, I don't see the point if it's just a clone. You just let him
rest?
Let him rest, man. And, I mean, I don't really care that if he would live another 60 years.
Do clones go to heaven?
No, because they're clones. They don't go there.
They're not God's creation, but they're one of God's creations.
Well, yeah, you could say the same for a robot.
Yeah, but a robot isn't
a robot.
alive. A clone is.
Clone's not technically alive either.
Yeah, it is. It's got a brain, it's got a heart, it's got organs.
Yeah, but it's a clone. It's not like...
Yeah. It's still
It
alive.
doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, their souls aren't real.
What do you mean
Souls are figurative. You're figurative.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Wait, don't. Oh, we should have kept going up.
Wait, why? Oh, secret maybe? I don't know if it says something about souls in the Bible, but I think it says spirit. That's it. Not
Do clones
soul.
have spirits?
I wouldn't think so. No, how would they get a spirit?
Why wouldn't they have one?
But how would they get one? You gotta be like you have to start out with you have to be born to get a spirit. Clones can't be born, they're like created. That's why I think they're more like robot type.
But they're alive.
Yeah,
they have thoughts and emotions.
They're alive, but they don't have a spirit.
They have thoughts and emotions, and that's a God. That's a creation of the Lord.
No, robots can have feelings.
No, they can't. They can only have what they're.
Feelings, but they're feelings.
Yeah, but they're fake.
Yeah, so are clones. Feelings.
No, clones are real.
They're not real.
Clones' emotions are real.
No.
Are you saying that if you adopted a kid only to find out he was a clone, like, and you had depression, then that like it's not real?
What's a clone to you? Yeah.
A clone is they got the DNA of someone else and they put it in a little dish, and then he comes out and it's just that person again, but they don't have a belly button because they got.
Okay, well, you could at least agree there's a difference between a human being and a clone, right?
Well, yeah, because a clone got made in a petri dish, and then a human got made in a tummy.
That's not the only difference.
What else would there be?
There'd be probably that they're not like. First of all, they're a clone. They're not like the real image of that original person.
Someday there's gonna be real clones, and this is gonna be really racist.
Probably. Like, wow, you're already starting out the new homophobe. What was that called? Like,
Ableist?
Ableist? Is that what it is?
It's when you say like retarded.
I didn't think a talk about clones could be so deep.
Okay.
We're just having a full debate about it.
But why wouldn't a clone go to heaven?
Because it's not made in the image of God. At least that's what I'd think.
Yeah, but if one of God's creations made it, wouldn't it be a creation of God?
No.
Would you say that like electricity and stuff is a creation of God?
Well, yeah, because God made that.
No, God made like.
God made that possible.
Yeah, but God also made it possible to make clones. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
I'm not.
It's hard. It's hard when this is hypothetical.
Yeah.
Because you really have to.
Plus, the fact that we're bringing religion into it does not make it any better.
Well, yes, I guess hypothetically, if clones could exist.
Hypothetically, if heaven and God are real, and clones can be around, can they go to heaven?
I think God would have something to say in the Bible about clones if they were like real.
If they're
Because I think.
But there was no technology back then. They couldn't have figured it out.
This is a full hypothetical thing we're talking about.
Yeah. So why would it be in the Bible?
Because this is hypothetical.
No, but you can't just have. They only recently in this world they only recently figured out how to make clones.
Ugh.
No, let's not do that again. We don't need that one star.
One star. Do we have one more level?
But if
Okay, we're at 153.
if there was a clone, and he went to church every day, and he prayed.
It doesn't matter what the clone does.
But if he was like, if he was all for God and for Jesus, and he lived for Jesus himself.
Here's what I think would happen. I think.
Wouldn't it be wrong?
If the clone dies, I think he would just go. If he went to heaven, he wouldn't be another clone. He would just probably go with his original self. I don't think he would like be a full different other person.
What if? What if your baby dies in the womb, but they get his DNA and they make a clone out of him?
Yeah.
And then he's like your son. He's basically your son, right? Like he's a son to you. And you raise him as a good Christian like yourself. Get out of there.
Sure.
And then. Oh Christ! And then he dies.
Right.
Would he go to heaven and lose all of his memories in life as your son, only to go into the baby body of that dead baby?
I probably think.
And then when you get to heaven, you don't have your son anymore. You just have some dead baby.
It's not dead. It's still.
I mean, it's alive in heaven, but it didn't get raised the way you did. Does his conscious?
I'm pretty sure that those babies, when you get to heaven, when you find your dead baby,
wait for me.
It wouldn't still be its baby. It would be just like how it would have been.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It wouldn't have all those memories in the life of the clone.
The clone would just go with the.
So they merge when they go to heaven. Like their consciousness
that's
is
my
merged.
theory, at least. If clones were to exist.
So, does that mean that in that time that your son was being like raised in heaven, there was the baby in like stasis, like he wasn't living his life in heaven, or did he have a life in heaven before the clone?
He has a life in heaven.
So then your son just suddenly has an entire childhood, like a split childhood, a childhood with you and a childhood in heaven.
From heaven.
Can you age in heaven?
No, not technically.
So then you still have, if the baby doesn't get born correctly, so you have a deformed dead baby in heaven.
Well, it doesn't stay. It's not.
Yes, it does.
It's not a human in heaven. It's just a spirit.
Do fetuses go to heaven?
Yeah, because it's a spirit.
So when babies get, aborted, do they go to heaven?
Yeah.
Do they go to heaven as a normal baby, or do they go to heaven in their?
They're not a baby. They're not anything. They're just a spirit. Because you're not.
Are there spirits in heaven?
That's all it is in heaven. You're not.
Oh.
You're not necessarily you're a human. You're just your spirit. Because your body and everything else leaves in your dead body, and only your spirit comes back.
Oh.
So you probably don't even look like yourself. Well, maybe you resemble yourself, but. I don't know. Heaven's a controversial topic because they don't say anything about it.
Well, I personally believe there is no heaven.
You freaking weirdo.
Nazi, yes. But
I was.
But okay.
I was thinking of punching you when you said that, just for like to people believe like I was actually like genuinely upset by that.
If you raised your son, and then he died before you did. Like, let's say he died at like 40 and then you died at like 60.
Yeah.
Or wait, no, you'd be okay. Let's say he died at 40 and you were 60, and then when you're 80, like 20 years later, you die, and then you go to heaven. But your clone son isn't in heaven because he's a clone.
Wait, are we still talking about the clone?
Yes.
Wait, so what?
So your clone son, he's not in heaven. Wouldn't you be mad?
Wait, so I'm sorry. The clone died at 60. At 60?
Yes.
Okay, and when did the original?
The original died in the womb.
Oh, okay. And you're saying when he returns back, you're saying.
And then when you get to heaven finally, 20 years later after he dies, he's not there.
He's not there.
Because you're saying clones can't go to heaven.
Well, the clone wouldn't be there, but the fetus would still be there.
Yeah, but that's not your son. He wouldn't have the memories of the clone.
No, it would. I'm sure they'd be like something. Like I said, this is completely hypothetical, so I could just be making this up right now. But my assumption would be like the spirit clone would like connect with the fetus that was.
Yeah, but they're completely. They're like at that point they're completely different people.
No, they're not.
One of them,
the same person.
No, one of them has like baby brain, and the other one got raised.
But they don't age or anything in heaven.
Yeah, but
when the fetus went to heaven, it was just the spirit. It had like
the spirit of a fetus.
It had the mindset.
But
it had the mindset of what like the clone was at that time. So when
so it's like a live like save file in heaven of the actual clone.
Yeah, I guess you could say like a save file.
That's cool, actually. We should make a Bible.
Make a Bible? What would it be called? Making Gunnar's Bible?
It'd be called,
I saw this stupid TikTok of, like, this gay pastor trying to remake the Bible. And all he did was just take out the parts about, like...
all the racist and homophobic stuff?
Yeah. And then he, like, tried preaching it to TikTok. And he was like...
That's a sin, though. That's false preaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever it's called.
So he's, like... sinning double. He's like, first he's like taking out. Well, first he's believing in homosexual.
We should ask him if clones would go to heaven.
We should ask him. He'd probably make up some.
Actually, we should try to call like
if you're a Scorpio, yeah, sure, but if you're a Pyro, no.
Is that even a?
I think he mentioned zodiac signs in the Bible. Like if you're a Scorpio, you automatically go to hell because you're just.
Aren't pyros in TF2?
What? Pyros?
What those guys?
I don't know shit about I don't know shit about zodiac signs or TF2.
I'm still hung up about this clone.
You're hung up about the clone?
The clone business.
Well, it's hard to talk about since clones don't exist, or at least yet.
Okay, but maybe. When they do, if eventually they figure out how to clone a human, would that disprove the Bible? If humans can make a creation without God?
I'd have to say yeah, because.
So would you stop being a Christian if they're like cloning existed?
Probably, or if there was nothing, there is nothing in the Bible stating anything about like life being created without God or like without, you know.
Oh come on now! What'd you just do with your hands?
Finger in the hole.
Oh.
That's what I was talking about.
I wasn't paying attention.
I had to drop the gamepad and it was in my lap and I.
Wait a minute.
And I dropped it.
Do clones have sperm?
Clones have sperm?
Can they like reproduce?
You tell me. You're the one who was talking about the clones.
I think technically they would have sperm.
Well, yeah, since they'd have since clones it would have everything the original one had.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's say you have a son, but he doesn't die, and you make a clone of him.
Yeah.
And then you raise it as the twin brother.
Yeah.
And then they grow up with different personalities, right? Let's say one of them's like super racist.
Or maybe something more.
One of them's a homosexual.
Like one's a Democrat, one's a
No. One's gay and one's straight.
One's into Avengers, one's into DC. No? Do we have to go for racist topics instead?
No, fine. Okay, one of them's gay and one of them's straight, right?
Okay.
When they die and go to heaven, do they end up there as separate people, or do they become like a bisexual like merge?
Wait, but you said they're brothers.
No, one of them, you have a son.
Oh no!
And then
clones, they just raised them like that.
You have one son and you clone him, and then you raise them like they're twins.
Yeah.
Do they go to heaven as the same person, even though they're different? Like one of them is gay and one of them is straight.
Is your topic of clones where they can like be different? Like in your hypothetical, clones can
like
be,
even though they're genetically the same, they still get raised differently. They have different friends at school. They just end up growing up differently and end up as adults with different like personalities.
This is for your hypothetical, right? That clones would have different personalities. Or if like a clone.
They would. I'm not saying that like in my knowledge they would. They definitely would.
You can't say they definitely would.
No, because you're raising them like their brothers, so they're gonna grow up like their brothers. The fact that
how could you say that?
because genetics doesn't go towards your personality. It's the way you're raised.
I don't think that's true.
It is.
Prove it. Trust me.
Just think about like, I can think about if I didn't move here to America,
Yeah.
I'd be very different,
We're not talking
and my
about
personality would be different. So, judging by that, that means that your genetics do not go towards your personality, because that makes no sense.
Oh.
So the
Yeah,
fact that
I
they're
guess I see what you're
the fact that they're genetically similar and this identical even doesn't means that they could have different personalities, right?
Could, I guess.
So they would they would have different personalities.
I don't think they would.
Yes, they would.
It's not like you could prove that.
I can prove that.
You can't.
It's exactly the same as having two twins.
Well, we have no idea because clones don't exist. We have no idea what they really could be like. I mean, sure it makes sense, but there's really no proof they could. How did I die from a lava? Am I invincible?
Would it be possible for one of the clones to have a bigger dick than the other one?
But aren't they genetically the same?
Yeah, so would they
Then I don't think so.
if you had one son and one clone son,
Yeah.
would you choose to have one circumcised and one not?
No, I'd probably have them be the same.
Would you have them both be circumcised or uncircumcised?
I forget what uncircumcised and circumcised are. What's
The uncircumcised, you got
more
the skin.
common one that we have?
We have uncircumcised.
I'd probably have them both be uncircumcised.
No, we do have circumcised.
Or we do have circumcised. Okay, so then I have.
Actually, I don't even know. I haven't seen your wiener. I don't know if we're the same.
You've seen my wiener.
Not in a while. You might have
I
grown
got it.
back.
Yeah, I put it back. We've been on this level for a long time.
Yeah, it's hard. That's what she said.
I think that this one whole episode is going to take up our clone talk.
Definitely, it's gonna go over more episodes.
More?
Yeah, it's gonna be like 2. Oh, come on. Okay. I'm still thinking. I think that a clone would be its own spirit in heaven.
So you're saying there would just be like. There'd be two people in heaven? Or
Yeah.
Or two spirits in heaven?
Yeah. At what point do you have a spirit?
At what point?
Yeah.
Well, you always have a spirit.
Yeah, but at what point when you're like being formed, like in the womb?
Probably when.
Is it
Well,
like?
I'm not sure exactly.
Would it
but
be exactly when
I'd
the sperm
assume
hits
in
the
God's
egg?
eyes, it'd probably be exactly when the sperm hits the egg.
So sperm doesn't go to heaven.
Well, it's when it hits the egg.
But it's not alive yet by then.
It's not alive by that? Well, how do they know that? Well, I guess when the sperm hits the egg. No, actually, I'd say farther in than that.
Does that mean that at some point, if you get an abortion soon enough, it doesn't have a soul, so it doesn't go to heaven?
Well, how early can you get the abortion?
I have no idea. Let's move on from abortion, but I still want to discuss the clone, because I'm upset at you.
Why are you upset at me?
Because you're wrong.
You can't say I'm wrong. Clones don't exist. They're not real. You're basing this off a hypothetical.
Okay, then hypothetically, if clones were real, I'm gonna get this straight away. They get the DNA, they put it in a little dish, and then they make a copy of that person, except they don't have a belly button because they weren't in a womb. But they have semen and eggs if it's a girl.
What were you saying?
It's basically just another you.
If clones exist.
Yes. In this world, they do exist. So we're not gonna say if they exist. We're gonna act like they exist.
Okay.
So in this world where they exist, would that even be a question if they would go to heaven? Well, it would.
Well, in your
it would be.
hypothetical,
Does
heaven exist?
This is
Or
in this.
is this just like
This is
just only where
this is
clones
the
exist?
real world where you don't know if heaven exists. You just have to have faith in Allah or whatever. I'm not religious,
All right.
but I want it. Okay, so I don't understand why you're. I think they would go to heaven as their own, as a separate.
Well, I just don't think a clone would have a spirit
Why not?
because clones like Sure, clones can have like all the genetics and stuff, but there's no proof that it can have a spirit because spirits aren't even like a proven thing yet. Like spirits like couldn't even exist. And
Spirits could not be.
They could not. Well, no, they
could not
it's
be.
Possible they could
proven.
Not
I mean, they could not be proven.
They cannot be proven. So, even so, let's say in this world clones do exist, but we don't know if spirits exist. So there could be clones that exist without spirits, and a spirit is what goes to heaven.
What makes you have a spirit?
That you're like born genetically with like in the image of God. And
What is the image of God? What does that mean? Like if the sperm in the egg?
Yeah, a man and a woman do the thing. And instead of not like a clone.
What's the difference between a man and a woman making love and making a child, and
then
scientists putting DNA and making it grow?
Because that's not in the eyes of God.
But think about this though.
Right.
The DNA came from something made in the eyes of God.
Yeah, but it's not going to the egg. It's just being grown, and that's not in the eyes of God.
When you get a worm and break it in half, and then there's two worms, is it two spirits or is it one?
Well, that's an animal. We don't even know if animals have spirits. That's a worm.
Do worms go to heaven?
What?
That would be sad.
Worms went to heaven?
Oh, come on.
I don't think animals go to heaven. I don't think all dogs go to heaven, dude. I think I only believe that because my dad. My brother was asking if Enzo would go to heaven. I was like, Dad, is Enzo gonna go to heaven? And will we see him there? He's like, yeah, sure we will. And then he looked at me in like a really weird way. I could tell he was just saying that. So
I can't imagine being religious. I don't know why, but I just can't picture in my head actually like thinking I'm gonna go somewhere when I die. I don't know.
You think of it more just like.
I think I'm gonna be in the dirt. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be in the dirt and I'm gonna be gone.
Well, you wouldn't even like know anyway, so it'd just be like.
Well, here's what I think.
You'd just kind of be like sleeping.
Here's what I think happens when you die. Scientists found out that like.
God damn, we've been stuck on this
I know.
all fucking time.
When you die, you have like 12 minutes worth of like dream time in your brain, which is like. That's like almost like 10 years of like actual. Because like when you have a dream, it could be like 3 hours in a dream, and it's only like 2 seconds in the real world.
Yeah.
So like, the fact that you have 12 minutes of brain activity after you die, like I think that means that like, if you believe in heaven, most likely you dream after you die for like 12 minutes that you're in heaven, and then you don't even know when it ends.
Oh, I see.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. What's it called? Where it's like.
And I think those people that like, when they say, "Yeah, I saw heaven. I died for a second. I went to heaven." I think that's the brain activity.
To be honest, I think most of those are just bullshit.
Well, yeah.
Like, most of them probably are.
I think they all are, but that's because I don't believe in heaven.
I understand.
More importantly, if clones existed, how would the
More importantly,
how would the government feel? Because the government's more important
then what?
than, I don't know, Christ. Anyway,
The government.
if
The government's more important. Number one.
Yeah, would they be recognized like
As like citizens?
like clones made in America? Are they citizens of America?
I'd assume so if they were in America. If clones were real, they'd probably start treating them like. Here's what I think would happen: clones at first wouldn't be accepted, and then like
It would be like
protests about like, except clones really are you racist homophobes or something? A new term for like
Based.
clonophobe. That's it. You damn clonophobes! Clones deserve rights too, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, they'll finally start accepting them. Then it will just be like the same type of deal, like you gotta be cloned in America.
Would they still have the stupid laws, like if you get cloned on a boat and one of the scientists is a man who's a like a citizen of America, and the other scientist is a woman who's not a citizen, then the clone is a citizen or something like that? Even though you could not clone someone on a boat?
I don't know what they'd have for that.
Is it possible to clone someone on a boat?
Why not?
If there was another... No, I don't want to bring religion into it. that makes it too hard to talk about because religion. Yeah. Anyway.
Finish your sentence. What? What's religion?
Christianity, Muslim
What's
religion.
Christianity? Explain that.
It's a religion.
Okay. Well, you're gonna finish your sentence.
Yay! Okay, what about this though?
Ugh.
Would you date a clone?
I honestly I couldn't get the thought out of my head that she's a clone. Like, I mean, if I didn't know that she'd be a clone, I'd be fine with it. But the fact knowing that she's a clone would just throw me off in like weird ways. It would just give me weird vibes.
I hope this ages terribly.
Yeah.
Imagine if
we're
like
remembered for being like clonophobes. Like, don't turn out.
what if we're the first people to ask these questions and like once they actually do invent clones, they find this and we're like really accurate, so they think that we're like it's like a prophecy.
That we like created it.
We're from the future.